All right. Good afternoon. I'm always having to think, what is it in America? It is good morning for y'all, but good afternoon from Montenegro. So again, a very summery day for us. It's like 30 degrees. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Maybe it's like 70s, but super beautiful. I would actually be outside like I normally am, but my neighbors have decided let's do renovations. I can't blame them. It's dry weather. So now's the best time to be doing that kind of stuff before the summer comes and all the holiday makers are here to enjoy their topless views. So to say. All right. So let's just get started. This week has been a very nice trading week. We have had a lot of really positive returns. Those who are doing the systematics, all the short puts did great. The weekly calendar and diagonal, they um, they did good, but you did have to manage. We did have two. Um, we can see it down here that obviously we had the one that was kind of at the money on the Thursday, and a lot of people decided to close it on the Thursday that was up 150%. So I did signal to people like we're already here. There's a lot of gamma above us. Some people, because they had both diagonals on, they decided to hold both of them into Monday. If you did, then of course the higher diagonal returned over $550. If you didn't remove the lower diagonal, then that was a loss. Now, towards the end of the day, that loss did come down significantly. So it actually closed, if you had held it to end of day, for about $130 loss. And the upper diagonal actually did get up to over $650. And like we always tell you guys, as your trades are kind of incrementally increasing in value, you want to be moving your stop loss up so that you stop out in profit. So if something is increasing and then your contracts are increasing by an entire dollar, you don't want your stop loss to be negative a dollar. You want your stop loss to be at plus a dollar. And if it moves up in value another dollar or another $100, you want to just be like moving that up, especially things like diagonals and calendars, because as we always talk about, they have that tent. And so, just a small move away from you can cause the profit loss to change. And you would have seen that on the lower 6740 diagonal on SPX, that when the price did come down at the very end of day, when SPX dropped about 10 points in the last 5-10 minutes of the day, this actually collapsed in value, which would have meant that your diagonal on top also would have significantly collapsed. The collapse on this value is the negative value. So it went from being negative, this 200 and something percent. If you hadn't closed it at 150% the day before, then it would have come down on you. But all in all, this should have made you money. Um, or if you managed both of them badly, then you would have just gotten out flat for the week if you just left them to Friday to close up. All of our short puts, you can see they're doing great. All of them decayed to 90 something percent. So we have added a couple new short puts. And in this coming week, we need to add some more short puts. Just with the government shutdown and with FOMC coming, have been playing short puts a little bit lighter, only because our other strategies have been doing really well. Our midday 130 systematics have just been pounding it. They have just been making massive returns. So we saw, as we called them, Mariah Carey, Tony Braxton. So we hit the 10%, we hit the scalps, and the end of days were just massive returns if you guys are trying to hold to the end of day. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, both the midday, and if you added the 130, those did gangbusters. You would have, even if you held them all the way to the end of the day, you could have easily been up between $800 and $1,200. But they did hit their scalps if that's all you're looking for. Thursday, the midday was a little bit problematic. It did force us to wait till a little bit later in the day. At around 132, we were able to get out of that for about a $1 loss. Some people actually were able to get out flat or for their profit target because they were watching the charts and got in for a slightly different entry than the exact midday timing. So if that was you, congratulations. It means that you had like an absolutely clean sweep. So the settlement butterflies this week, the 0DT settlement butterflies, those were a little bit funny because almost every day we did end up opening very close to settlement. So except Monday and Friday, but on Friday we didn't take the trade because we were so far away from settlement that we didn't expect to get a return back to settlement. Remember the rules that if you gap up more than 25% or gap down more than 25 points, not 25%, 25 points, then you're less likely to get that fill. And on Friday, it was really clear. We just had a massive gap and go without any kind of return on that CPI news. So Friday, we didn't play the 0DTE. Monday, it was a loss, but we did hedge it massively. So it wasn't a big loss overall. So the 1DTs were also a little bit more, again, were a little bit problematic. Those are, we hedge them significantly by reducing the cost of entry, the 1DT settlement butterflies. So Monday and Friday, those would have been a loss, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those were like max profit days. So congratulations to those that took them. You can just see here the returns. We were hitting very easily into the 10, 15 percent. And I don't really post beyond into the group the end of day because not many people are taking them. But if that proves to change and people are taking the strategy, taking the end of day, then I'll start posting those again. So the last week I didn't do the weekly roundup, but we had some amazing trades. ASML actually went all the way up to 300%. So that just did gangbusters for us. We actually pinned the end of week. So we hit like if you would have held it till the very until Friday, we expired around the 10:34. So this actually hit the max profit of $2,500. When I screenshot it, we were at 100%. And like you guys know, whenever people are in smaller accounts, I do encourage them to consider taking some profits at the 100%, especially with a trade like this that is close to $565. It's a lot for a small account. NVTS also just was doing amazing for us. We were so deep in the money because as you can see, NVTS was all the way up at the $14 and our long call was at the 7 strike. So what we did as a group in the trade management, I suggested you contact your broker and that you exercise those shares. You exercise the shares. So when you have calls, you have the right to exercise them. So you have the right to say, actually, my average price on NVTS is so good that I actually don't want to just take the cash. I want the shares. And so they will see what the value of your contracts are. So, and then how much it would cost you to take the shares. Now, at the time that we had this, we actually had a bunch of other positions surrounding it. So the cost on exercising this share was like a couple $100, but was quite insignificant. So, 100 shares at $7 is $700. And if you had multiples, that'd be 700, 1,400, 2,100, whatever, how many contracts you wanted to exercise. And then you end up with those shares. Now, so we got the shares at $7, and the shares are obviously were worth $14. So we made $7 and whatever cents on those shares. That's the value that we have like baked into the position. And our cost of taking the shares is less what the value of the position is. So let's say that you wanted 100 shares. 100 shares would have been worth $700. We're up $150 on the trade. Now, what we did is that we rolled out that short call up to the 16 strike. And that that actually gave us another credit. So we actually took in some more capital on that short call that we rolled out. And so that garnered us a couple $100. The position of the long call was actually up at $28. So we actually, our long call by itself was up way more than the value of the shares. So for each set of 100, you should have had about $1,400 of profit after all the configurations. Now, the idea was that after a little bit of time decayed and we had a bit of settlement, that and some of the value came out of that short call that we rolled out, we would actually just close that short call and we would create a short straddle. So we will do that this coming week. But NVTS is doing amazing, and congratulations to those that took it. Um, Hut had, we had call ratios. Those did very well. They were up over 100%. Bank of America, we had a cheeky call calendar, and that was up 115%. Kind of a nice little way to play earnings. Probably a more important position was this Regetti position, this call calendar that was up 150%. We did add this trade because we had so many positions on Rigetti, like all the way up, and a lot of them were like really getting deep in the money fast. So by adding this 49 call calendar, it gave us a bit of cash generation so we could kind of redeploy the cash if we needed to kind of move some other things around. But we didn't actually need to because we did get that pullback. Sound also has just done amazing. It is up 375%. We were like right between so our long calls for January 26th are in the money, and our 22 call was still out the money. And we decided to reposition that short call so that our long call can go deeper in the money. And depending on where sound gets to later in the year, if that does get deeper in the money and we do get closer to an 80 delta, right now it's at about a 55 delta, 60 delta. But if we do get down to an 80 delta, we'll probably do what we did with NVTS. So we did have also this Meta diagonal. Meta does have earnings coming out. It was a little bit down. We did reposition that short so that we could keep that long call up there at the 1,000. We do have earnings coming out this next week. Currently, our pin price that we're looking for is the 800. So, but the good thing for us is that obviously this diagonal still gives us many, many weeks out in time, but we're not really losing anything on this. We rolled it out, took in a bit of credit to make this a flat trade, and earnings should really support this to come back strongly green, besides the fact that we do have that calendar that is sitting at the 850 area. So Hood also had a really strong squeeze, and both our positions were up, in the thousands, 300 and 490%. So we are monitoring those. And we did add another diagonal just to generate some extra cash, like while we are digesting here, so that in the event that if Hood gave us a much bigger move off that trend line, which it did not, but if it had, we would have probably wanted to move out our short calls by having that diagonal spread, that shorter duration diagonal spread on there. It would have generated us a bit of cash on the upside to then reposition these so that we don't lose those long calls, because our long positions, we want them to go deep in the money. Our long positions are all the way out until March 20th. So we have months of time on them. Again, more Rigetti positions. We've just had so many Rigetti positions, and we've just worked on managing those. ASML, we continued to have that, not this very last earnings, but 3 months ago, the earnings before that, we did have this really, oh, sorry, no, this is the ASML position. I told you, the one I showed you inside the chat. This is actually the one that we had for, oh, it seems my headphones are died. This is getting close to the end. We did add some short put on Regetti. So that was another aspect. So, as stocks kind of pull back and then, are getting ready to take the next leg up, we are adding some shorts. It's getting higher now. It's a debit diagonal. So, as, but we're still making charts. It's still baking. We have this all the way until December 19th. But as I tell you guys, like, if you have stocks, uh, time decay take place against the short. So, all right, it seems that the sound has changed.
Anyhow, all that to say, lots of trades, lots of great trades. You should be making a lot of money right now. If you have any questions about ongoing trades or positions that you would like to have, please let me know. A lot of times we add trades based on your guys' requests, not just based on what I'm seeing and what I am looking at. This week we have a lot of earnings that we are plays that we're already in, like UNH, Visa we added for this week, and then just we were already in Meta. We have a firm. We don't have PayPal. But yeah, I post the gamma levels for you guys. So if you want to set up your own trade, you absolutely can. But I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and hope you guys are making money with our trades. Bye for now.